Hey, what's up guys? It's Marv and welcome back to another Asphalt 9 update video. Today we got the patch notes for the New Tech Reloaded, and Black Friday season. So yes, we have the patch notes for 3 seasons in this video. And another awesome thing that happened in the world of Asphalt 9 today was the Lamborghini Revuelto Esports Challenge that I casted earlier this morning. I'm going to leave a link for that in the description down below if you'd like to go see some awesome Asphalt 9 esports action. There were a ton of amazing races in that tournament, so I highly recommend you check it out because it was an absolute blast. So with that out of the way, let's get talking about the new cars in the New Tech Reloaded, and Black Friday seasons. So I'm going to go over all of the new cars, then I'm going to talk about how this season format will go down, talking about the events, features, changes, all that sort of stuff. But again, let's cover the cars first. Now we have a bunch of S-Class cars. Firstly, we have the Deus Vian, a very powerful, very modern electric car, and it is at a max rank of 5,082, so pretty high up there in S-Class to be sure, but I don't think it's going to be the king of the game. You can go ahead and see that the max stats here are pretty darn good, but they aren't going to dethrone something like the Hennessy Venom. What you'll notice is that the acceleration stands out pretty high, as well as the handling is pretty decent for an S-Class car. So this is going to be pretty good as just a general addition to anyone's garage, but I don't think this is going to take the crown in any specific track. Our next car is something that everyone has been waiting for, and that is the Bugatti Chiron Supersport 300 Plus. And right off the bat, you'll notice that the top speed at max is 453 kilometers an hour, which I believe translate roughly to around 280 miles an hour. So with nitro, you're really only going to go around 290 miles an hour. So let me explain why that is. Firstly, the actual street version of this car is electronically limited to 273 miles per hour. Okay, so that's one explanation. The next explanation is more of a personal take, and that is that this car never actually went 300 miles an hour. It doesn't actually hold a world record because the 304 mile per hour mark that they hit during that test track run on the Volkswagen closed test track was actually a one-way run in only one direction. And in order to qualify for the top speed production car world record, you have to do a top speed run in both directions to account for stuff like wind speed and whatnot. So this car doesn't actually hold the world record title in the eyes of a lot of people, including myself, because it didn't do a proper run. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, the street version of this car, the one that actually is being sold to customers for over $3 million, is still electronically limited to 273 miles per hour. Now going back to the stats a bit here in Asphalt 9, you'll notice that the acceleration is at 83, which is about 1 point less than the regular Chiron, but the handling is pretty good, yet the nitro efficiency is not as good as the Chiron. So you're making some trade-offs here for slightly higher top speed, slightly lower acceleration, better handling on paper, and worse nitro on paper as well. So don't get me wrong, this is going to be a great car for any person in Asphalt 9. It's going to perform really well, especially on those top speed tracks, but I think it will let some people down with the limited top speed. Next up, we have yet another S-Class car, and this is the Renault Concept S. This is the sportier track version of the Renault Concept 1 that we already have in the game, and that is a very good A-Class car, but here in S-Class, I would say it's pretty mid-range. You can see the max rank is only 4,500, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but I don't think this is going to be a king, especially not on top speed focused tracks, but you will see that the acceleration of 84 is pretty decent, but for a electric car, I was expecting it to be a bit higher. However, you can see it is kind of compensated by the fact that it has amazing handling and nitro for S-Class. So this is going to be pretty decent on twisty tracks, but not a king. Next up, we have yet another electric car. This is the Ford Mustang Mach E 1400, and it is a very good D-Class car on paper. It's also reflected in the fact that the max rank is over 3,000, which is very good for a D-Class car. This could be a contender for a new D-Class king on some tracks. You'll notice that the acceleration and nitro efficiency are both very good for D-Class as well. I'm slightly worried about the handling though at only 51. It's pretty good, but I don't think it's as good as the Volkswagen Electric R, but it is made up for the fact that the top speed is 300 kilometers an hour, which isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, especially for D-Class. So this is going to be pretty darn good, but I think it won't be a king on those top speed tracks. I think the Griffith still takes that. Next up, we have a hybrid car. This is the McLaren Artura, and this will be a Legend Pass car for the New Tech and New Tech Reloaded seasons, and it's a pretty mid-range, mediocre B-Class car. You can see the standout feature, again, for a lot of these recent cars is acceleration, and this car is no different at 81, but its handling is no slouch as well, and its nitro efficiency unfortunately doesn't look like it is going to be that good, which is quite unfortunate. But you'll notice that with these cars that have very high acceleration, sometimes the nitro efficiency doesn't matter because you can get up to your top speed pretty quickly with that high amount of acceleration. But again, I don't think this is going to be a very, very good B-Class car. Obviously, it's reflected in its rank, so just keep an eye out for this car. It does look pretty good though. Last but certainly not least, we have the Maserati MC20. I've been waiting for this car to be added to Asphalt 9 for a very, very long time. I think a lot of people can agree that it looks really good, sounds pretty good, even though it only has a V6, and it's really nice to see Maserati return to form with an awesome supercar. And thankfully, this is a pretty decent car here in Asphalt 9. Now, this will be the Legend Pass car, I believe, for the Black Friday season, and it is significantly better in terms of rank compared to the McLaren Artura. You can see that even though the top speed isn't that great, you can see that acceleration, handling, and nitro are both absolutely amazing, especially for B-Class. So it's not going to be ranked next to the Kings, so don't expect this to be blowing past any Huracans or anything like that, but it will certainly be a decent performer. Now, before I move on to talking about the events and changes coming into these next couple of seasons, we're going to take a look quickly at the showroom, and here you can see a screenshot of the interface that you'll get when you tap into the showroom menu, and you can see that there is a list of events that were previously ran in Asphalt 9, and this is going to be a great opportunity for players to unlock cars that haven't been around for a while. Now, as far as I'm aware, some of these events will be restricted to your garage level, and I think you might even be restricted if you have a high garage level. You can't access some of the specific lower end cars, but I will have to wait and see on that. That isn't necessarily confirmed. But what we do know is that there are going to be some events where you have to actually maintain a high enough garage level to get access to that car. But nonetheless, this is a very great opportunity for players to unlock and star up some cars that they might be missing in their garage and, just didn't have really the opportunity to, because some of these cars had very limited events, limited runs throughout the game's life cycle. So this is awesome to see. I don't exactly know the specifics of how many events you can choose at one time. It could be just one at a time. And of course, you can see that through the screen, each of these events does last a different amount of time. So each of these events are obviously going to be separate from each other. They aren't a connected chain of events. All right, so let's talk now about what's coming with each new season, starting with the New Tech season and all of its events. Of course, we are going to have the Deus Vian that will be joined by its own special event, and the Ferrari LaFerrari Aperta is coming back as well, which is a fan favorite A-Class car, one of the best in the game as well. I might add the handling on that car is great, so it's nice to see a return for that. And the Aries S1 Grand Prix will also return, which is a pretty decent C-Class car. We are also getting the return of the infamous Lego McLaren Senna GTR in a multiplayer trial series, which is awesome to see. And this one will also have unlimited fuel, which is awesome. I really hope that we can see more multiplayer series in the future with unlimited fuel, because those are always just so fun. You can climb the leaderboard and you don't have to worry about waiting for refuels. There's also going to be a legendary hunt for the Porsche Boxster 25th anniversary. Again, this is going to be one of those car hunts that is locked behind the Legend Pass, but through another separate car hunt, you will be able to get the Arish AF10, which was previously a Legend Pass only car, so that's nice to see that it's now out of early access. There will also be some packs and events that focus on season tokens, and of course, as always, the Starway will return, this time with the McLaren Speedtail. And as I mentioned earlier, the McLaren Artura is going to be the featured Legend Pass car for New Tech. Next up, we have the New Tech Reloaded season, and just like the previous season, the featured Legend Pass car will be the McLaren Artura again, but this time around we do have different special events, starting off with the Renault Concept S. If you were wondering how to unlock the Ford Mustang Mach E, that will be during this season, and it will be available through a normal key hunt, but if you like those Grand Prix, you will be glad to know that the Glickenhaus 007S will be returning in a Grand Prix. Now, also something that got me a little bit excited is that the Bugatti Chiron special event will rerun during this season. Now, it's not the 300 plus edition, this is going to be just the normal Chiron, but they do note that some of the support cars have changed since initial run. So this isn't going to be a carbon copy of the original Chiron event that we saw a very long time ago. It will be changed, hopefully, so that new players can also get access to the Bugatti Chiron. There will also be a Syndicate time limited event. Now, we don't have any details about that, but it's focused on the bear and that character. So I'm not sure if this is going to be like a mini special event, but it says a time limited event. So this could be one of those daily events that's listed in that menu. We'll have to wait and see, but it's cool that they're incorporating the Drive Syndicate into different areas of the game. And finally, another Starway event will rerun, and that will be for the Huracan. And for the final season, we have the Black Friday season. Now, like normally, I expect this to be a shortened season, so not a full-blown season length, usually around 2 to 2.5 weeks as well. But as always, there is going to be the Black Friday burst of speed. We don't have any specific details about which cars are going to be in that pack. I know that we've seen a lot of leaks and rumors around that, but honestly, we don't know where those sources come from, so I'm not really believing that until I see it actually in game or confirmed by the developers. So for all I know, we could actually be getting the Hennessy Venom F5 finally. I'm really hoping for it. This is also where you will be able to unlock the Bugatti Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus, and that will be a dedicated special event, followed by the Ferrari F50 Legendary Hunt, and you will learn more about the Lizard in another Syndicate lore themed time limited event, and that will be focused on the Arash AF10. The Maserati MC12 Grand Prix is also going to return, which is awesome to see. A lot of players love that car, including myself, and of course, it couldn't be another season without a Starway, this time with the Peugeot Onyx. And as I mentioned earlier, the Legend Pass car for Black Friday will be the Maserati MC20. Now, besides that, there were a couple of balance changes to some cars, really just some fixes, but more importantly, the Koenigsegg CC850 has some performance improvements as well. And yeah, for Android users, you will need to be on a firmware higher than, I believe, 9 or higher, because they are dropping support for Android 7 and 8. So be aware of that as well. But besides that, that is really all we have for this massive update for 3 seasons. As always, I will also link the patch notes in the description if you want to read through every little detail, but I'm pretty sure I covered it pretty well. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts on these 3 seasons in the comment section down below. And as always, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys later.